Fear stops us from achieving our true greatness. Are you a professional woman who is feeling stuck, unmotivated, or burned out? Are you worried about your wellness? Are you letting fear stop you from crushing your goals? If you answered yes to any or all of these, then this is the podcast for you. Dr. Charmaine Gregory, night shift emergency physician, burnout thriver, and wellness champion, along with everyday heroes just like you, will explore how to face fear in our lives and emerge victoriously.
Hello, Fearless Freedom family. We are back, and today we have the awesome, amazing Dr. Errin Weisman, and she is a coach extraordinaire. And you know what? I'm not even going to try to explain all her accolades. I'm going to have her drop her own knowledge. So here you go. Dr. Weisman.
That is a total mic drop right there. Bam! Well, let me tell you guys all about myself. I am a spunky family medicine trained physician who about 5 years ago in her life hit rock bottom. I did not even have enough self-awareness at the time to know that I was burned out, but I was crispy to the core. And through the last several years and a whole huge journey, which we can go into, I have now discovered not only more about my own self and identity, but that I truly am a healer. And now my purpose and passion in life now is to be a doctor to doctors. And so, yes, I am a physician life coach. I love taking care of my colleagues because you know what? There are so many of us hurting out in the world. And the shit that we really needed to learn in medical school, we figure out like decades later. So I am all about empowering and spreading whatever education I have, and then sprinkling a little bit of sassiness into it too.
Awesome. Yes. So it's funny because Dr. Weisman and I are somewhat kindred spirits. I wonder if you guys can figure out why. Maybe she'll tell us a little bit more. What do we have in common, Dr. Weisman? Like going all the way back, like way back.
Way back. Oh my gosh. Even as little kids, I think we both wanted to be doctors at heart. We had that conversation on my podcast, Dr. Me First. And, you know, it's in us. We are innate healers and helpers. And, you know, we're both very driven, very type A, you know, and with that, we did all the right things. We did all the right steps. And then getting out in life where we look around and we're like, oh my gosh, if this is what it's going to be, I don't think I can handle it. And so I know my journey. I didn't want to get on Zoloft. I knew I didn't need an inpatient psych stay. You know, thank God I didn't go to bad habits like drugs, alcohol, gambling, anything like that. I was just really, really sad. And like the one point that I can remember, I had a bunch of them, like a lot of low points. I don't know why it took me so many. But the one that I want to convey to you is I remember a Sunday night sitting on the edge of my bed in my bedroom, sobbing, like the hardest, deepest cry that you could have, because I just told my husband, I said, I feel empty. I know tomorrow I've got to go into the office. I've got to put the smile on. I've got to keep plugging through, but I feel empty inside. And that was when I did what we tell all our patients not to do. I got online, found other doctors like me. And I was to the point where I was putting resumes in non-clinical jobs, like working on an assembly line at a local automotives company. I applied to a furniture company to build furniture.
Wow.
I was thinking about like the checkout line at Kmart. I was just like done. I was like, I have got to get out. When I went online, I found a physician who was doing life coaching, and she was kind of teaching people how to turn their CV into resumes. And I was like, perfect, that's what I need. But you know what? When I really got into it and I started doing like the coaching questions and the discovery, I found that medicine is really in my heart. Like it's really important to me, and that my exit wasn't going to be running away from medicine. It was going to be changing it to be sustainable for me and for every colleague in it.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, it's interesting because I mean we do have many parallels, as you mentioned. You know, the desire to heal at an early age. Cause I think I was 8, you're pretty close to that age, right? When you
Yeah,
kind of had
I
that
was a little
realization.
kid.
And, we kind of both grew up in, places that are smaller, right? I mean,
Yep.
you were
Small
in,
town girl.
yeah, small town. I was on an island, and and then it's kind of interesting that we kind of went through the kind of not really mid-career, but late early to mid-career kind of crisis where you're like, wow, how could I have lost this joy for the thing that I, sacrificed so much for and felt like I was going to do forever. And then, even to the point where you're contemplating doing something that, like, going and working on an assembly line, I mean, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that, but it's like such a flip of a switch from all of the things that you'd studied so hard for and work for to do, to just say, I'm just going to walk away from it and go do something completely different.
I
And
think it was
then,
because I was hurting so much.
oh yeah,
And then the
definitely.
other thing too, I'm the first doctor in my family. Like
Mhm.
I'm the first one to achieve this level of education. So, I had to work through my family expectations that I had placed on myself, like, oh my God, what if I change? What if I am no longer a doctor? Because my family, they look to me. It's not as if like they're going to shun me. But at the
Right.
time, I knew that they had careers that were good and they could support their family too. But yeah, I think part of it, that's when I got into it because I had blown up what being a physician was going to be like. And
Mhm.
when I got out and I got into it, I was having the same struggles as everybody else. And maybe
Absolutely.
even more so because of the expectations I had placed on myself. I went and practiced in a small area, so I was taking care of a whole community.
Mhm.
And then also not being able that I felt in a safe place to unload some of that baggage. And so that's
Right.
why it's really important for me to advocate for other physicians to get a coach, whether it's you, whether it's somebody else that they find.
Mhm.
Get a coach so that you at least know you are not alone and that you can have a safe space to talk through the rigors of our job. I mean, there are still wounds. Everybody listening, I want you to think of that one patient from years ago that still
Mhm.
hops up in your thoughts and dreams
Oh yeah, I
sometimes.
could think of several actually. But yes.
And that's not healthy. Like, we need to
No.
be working through that. We need to be talking. We need to release that. We wrote a sentence or a paragraph in that patient's life, but we
Mhm.
can't let that patient's story continue to reappear in our own story. We need to work through that. And we're not good at it right
No, we're
now in
not.
healthcare.
Not at all. Not at all. Yeah, and it's funny because we had another conversation in a different venue where we were kind of talking about well, what is it? Is it external factors or internal factors that really contribute to our ability to overcome a difficult situation, which is essentially resilience. And you brought up that now there's a lot of discussion about the micro traumas basically causing us to have PTSD. And it is really true, because what do we learn? I mean, in medical school and through residency, you learn, you're a doc, you're tough, you can do it. You're vomiting. Okay, just go in that room and put an IV in, get some anti-nausea medicine and get back to work. I mean, this is the mantra, right? And so,
Girl, I ran an IV up my white coat. I stuck the bag in my
mhm,
pocket, ran the IV up through into my right antecubital when I was like 4 months pregnant because
mhm.
I was vomiting and I would squeeze that damn IV bag because it was going against to keep myself going while I was rounding.
See, that's
That
crazy. That's
craziness.
crazy. I mean, there's so many things. I mean, like I won't even get into the story of what happened to me and my last kid. I mean, I literally like worked through the shift as I was going through labor, went upstairs and gave birth. I mean, who does that? These are the
I did
crazy
that
things.
too.
These are the crazy things that we do. And it's just like nobody else does that. So, but so that is the grit, and that is the cloth of which we are, we're told that we're made of. And so because you're made of that tough cloth, you tend not to want to face the fear. And here we're getting back to facing fears here. We don't want to face the fear of failure, of being vulnerable, of
not being enough.
hurting. Yes, not being enough. And that is not a good place. And so, this is why it's been kind of like, my burnout experience was many years ago now. And at that time, when I looked around, there was really probably there were resources, but I was unaware. So I'm just super happy that, people like you, Dr. Weisman, are kind of getting the word out. And, so many of our other colleagues who are trying their best to help colleagues recognize that, no, there's nothing wrong with you. You are not broken. You just need to work through some things. You need to open up. You need to be ready to make a change because, we all need a helping hand at one point or another. There's just no doubt about it. Nobody needs to go it alone.
Right. I really use the illusion of it's time to stop dumping out your cup empty and shaking out the little drops.
Yes.
Your healing art, your helping should come from overflow. You should be filling your cup up, and the overflow is what you should be giving to other people. And that's where I think it's really important that, and that's why I named my program Dr. Me First, because I think doctors, we have to take care of ourselves first, so then we can change healthcare. Because if we're just a bunch of bitchy, grouchy physicians who are burned out,
yes,
people are not going to listen to it. Administrators, they don't want to deal with that attitude. Government, they're just going to say, keep plugging through. But if we're really healthy and we can go into these conversations saying, this is where I was, this is where I'm at, a happy doctor is a more productive doctor. Let me show you the research and data. Then we are going to get the tide really turning. It's starting to swing.
Yeah, some places,
there.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so that's where I really emphasize to people that, they talk about external factors, intrinsic factors, and I really focus on the individual right now in my coaching practice to get you as healthy.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the flip side, when I do consulting with hospitals, I'm like, how much does it cost for you to lose one doctor? One doctor.
Oh, a lot.
And then
I said, the tune of like 500 to 2 million.
At least, yes.
Yeah.
And I said, what if you took that one doctor salary and you invested in wellness of your entire organization? What if you did that and then you didn't lose anybody, and yet the wellness factor bubbled up higher?
Mm-hmm.
Administrators, they're not there yet. They're not. I'll be perfectly honest. Some of them are starting to get it. But if we just keep preaching that, if you don't have us, you don't got anything. And so it's really important to, they want numbers. Let's give them numbers. Let's show them what happens when we start exiting and we start doing our thing, because doctors are some of the most creative and innovative people in this population. I mean, we are motivated, we are altruistic, we are go-getters. And when we are actively engaged, ain't nothing gonna stop us.
That is the truth. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a doctor, but it is the truth.
It really is, because as I've had, so I am about on episode 45 with my podcast. And so I have had 45 conversations with other female physicians. And as I have talked to each and every one of those, oh my gosh, it is so diverse and so encouraging and so amazing to see what my colleagues are doing, be it that they're full-time clinical practice, but they're doing it on their own terms, or that they've gone off the grid and they're doing something amazing and just all inspiring. It really, really, really shows that our population, that when we really are healthy, we can do incredible things. But the flip side too, when we are really unhealthy, man, I think it magnifies the toxicity in healthcare.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, there's a ripple effect that occurs with patients, because every doc touches, thousands of people. So there you go, so you can just imagine in your mind how that extrapolates. So yeah, no, it's a huge problem. And I'm super excited that it's being talked about a lot more now, just because I think that having it out there and having people thinking about it and looking into it is going to hopefully make a difference in the long run. And it's going to help people to see that, there's no reason to be afraid to get help if you need it, right? Because, I mean, what we don't want is the bad outcome, which can happen and has happened to colleagues. We've even had one in my own group So, there's, we don't want to lose anybody forever, right? So we don't want anybody killing themselves, essentially. So yeah, no, definitely get help. And the interesting thing about this is that this is a huge problem in healthcare, but it is a huge problem not just for the physicians. I'm starting to see more and more of my nurses on the team, expressing that they're having the same kinds of feelings. And it just breaks my heart because, we are, like you said, we all got into this to help people. And that is the core of what drives us. That is really our why. I mean, we just want to help the other humans feel better. And when we're hurting, we just can't. So yeah, definitely. So I definitely appreciate everything that you're doing because it is well needed, and the impact that you're making through your coaching, through your retreats. I saw you just had one recently. Is just really, it's making a huge impact. And now you have the podcast. So, I mean, that's even more of a reach. So more and more people are going to be able to hear y'all. You need to check out her podcast, Physician First. Is that correct?
Dr. Me First.
Dr. Me First, yes. So Dr. Me First, it's on all the platforms. So check it out, give it a 5-star rating, recommend it to friends, leave a review, because this is how we're going to get the message out. This is how we're going to help each other. We're going to heal each other, is literally by talking about it, getting it out, recognizing that we have support, recognizing that there's a tribe, because there is, and it's great. And when the arms are open, there's a big fat hug that comes with it that is just amazing. And if you uplift each other, we could just do so many great things. So, so just hope that you guys will definitely check these items out and that you'll get back to us, hit Errin, Dr. Weisman up and, see if she can help you in any way if you're hurting, and come back and check us out on either one of the podcasts. Okay. All right. So Dr. Weisman, we need to get some questions to you now. All right. So we need for you to tell us kind of give us some advice, right? So what do you think, so you mentioned how much pain you experienced and where you were in that dark place, that abyss that's called burnout. Was there anything that you kind of captured, any nugget that you wish to share with the audience about what you wish you knew before throughout the journey, or how you felt that you overcome the fear that you faced, and any advice for the audience?
Sure. What I wish I had known before I started this journey, that it really is a journey and it doesn't end at certain mile points. Like, I just kept remembering through residency, scraping up that mountain, okay, keep going. I'm going to get to the summit. And then, I signed the contract. I had 2 babies in residency and I had to make up 5 weeks. So that tells you how crazy I am. So I ended into August. I took Labor Day weekend off, and then I started my new practice. And so, I had reached the summit. I had made it. I put my flag at the top of the mountain, and I looked around and I'm like, oh my God, I think I climbed the wrong damn mountain. But that's when I learned at that point, you keep going. You go down the other side of the mountain. Your journey continues. You get to a lot of different whys in your life, and you're not going to know which is the quote unquote best way. And I think that's where we get a little bit confused in medical education, because it's like we're put on a railroad track and you don't have any exits. You just get in medical school and go, baby. But what I really learned is life is all about those whys, and then learning a good frame for which to be like, okay, how do I pick lane A or lane B? Or maybe there's a lane Z behind me and I need to backtrack. So that would be my first teachable moment, is just to remind everybody that life truly is the journey. You don't make it. You don't ever get to that point and you're done. As long as you have breath in your lungs and your heart is beating, you are on the journey and you keep going. Now, we're going to hit high points, but that's where, I just remind people too that you don't know what someone else's journey is. So at my perceived highest points, I think they were probably my lowest points. And so that's where I remind people about those valleys. You don't stay in valleys forever. And so always to reach out for help, because my second point is you are never alone. That woman who was sobbing on the edge of her bed, she felt extremely, extremely isolated. And that's who I coach to now. I coach to that woman that I was 5 years ago. And I really just put it out there, people. As long as you ask for help, you will never be alone. So I always encourage everybody, ask for help. In whatever form that is, put your fear of shame aside, put your fear of not being enough, put your fear aside of, oh my God, what are they going to think? Because the only opinion that matters in your life is yours.
Preach it, sister. Oh my. That is truth bomb after truth bomb. Absolutely. So you've definitely overcome some amazing challenges and walked over that mountain and just seeing the victory side of things at this point. Do you feel like there is a fear that you're facing now that you're working through? Okay.
Oh yeah, I'm currently climbing a new Mount Everest.
Okay.
So, currently what I'm facing is I realized that practice that I was in before was not sustainable. Mm-hmm. And I had to weather a really nasty non-compete, and I did, baby, with grace and ease.
Man.
So if anybody wants to talk about non-competes, I got you on that. I switched my practice for a while, and I did rural emergency medicine, which grew me so much clinically, but I started to feel the pings of that burnout kind of coming back, the not wanting to get out of my car, like the watching the time to see when my shift is over with, because I couldn't wait to like crawl out of that place. And so at that point, with the discussion with my husband, I'm like, I am so passionate about this coaching business and reaching others. I'm ready to do it. So we made a plan. We got some savings set aside. We really trimmed our budget. I am full-time life coaching now. Now I'm still a little bit clinical on the side, but that's my mountain right now. That's my fear is, can I make this a reality? Can I get others? Can I help my colleagues? And that's been my biggest fear, is because I'm going outside the box.
Yes.
Is this going to work? And the other fear I have is, am I completely crazy?
You're not.
So that's what I'm living in. I am truly walking my talk as I'm coaching my own clients, when I'm like, what makes your heart sing? You've got to lean into it. And that's exactly what I've done with coaching. I'm like, okay, that's what makes my heart sing. There's nothing better than after I get off of a call with a colleague when they tell me, Errin, you helped me.
That's
or
awesome. Yes.
The other thing that I hear too is, I've never been able to tell anybody the things I've told you. And, as special as the doctor-patient relationship is, I find the doctor-to-doctor relationship even more amazing, because I know their struggles. I know that hurt. But I also know the flip side, and how bright life can be, how you can wake up in the mornings and your feet hit the floor and you are ready to go, instead of like, breathe. Okay, go take that shower. Yes. Light that candle so that you can get your stuff moving. And so that really is my biggest fear right now. And my plan to conquer it is, I'm just leaning into it. I just continue to keep telling people, and I continue to keep reaching out. And I also, what motivates me is encouraging others. So once you get in my tribe, you're going to get little messages from me, because I want to encourage you to keep doing your work. And I think you probably realize that with me, is that you'll get randomness from me. But that's because that's when I am at my best, when I can stand behind somebody and be like, girl, I got your back. Let's go.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, no, seriously. That is some serious nuggets. Appreciate that. Yeah, no, I mean, you're leaning in. That is the ultimate way to go for it. And I know you're going to be extremely successful, so I'm not worried about that piece. So in case you were worried, which I know you're not.
Oh, it's there. The fear is there. It creeps up every so often, and it kind of sits on my shoulder, and it's like, so how's that bank account doing? Hey,
oh, man.
How them student loans looking, girl? And I'm like,
man.
I just look at fear and I'm like, I know you're there. I know you deep down are trying to help me, but right now you need to back your ass up. And
That's
then I
that's
go.
right. That's right. That's right.
So I do a lot with self-talk and with having mantras, and I'll post a lot. So if anybody needs encouragement, follow me on Instagram, because I am all about the things I put up there. I literally practice for myself. And so those little mantras that I have, those little talks with fear or with shame or with
Hmm.
guilt, they're really helpful and they're really fun and sassy.
Yeah, yeah, y'all do check out her Instagram. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to put in the show notes. That's why, do you mind just saying we're everywhere where you are? So,
Sure.
Truth Prescriptions and your podcast and your website, so that people can do that. And then I will also put that information in the show notes as well.
I would love. So my life is an open book. I think sometimes my husband's a little bit scared about how much I put online, but I don't even care. It's an open book. So yes, Truth Prescriptions, because as you can tell, I like to write out and drop truth prescriptions. That's the name of my business. So it's truthrxs.com. I also go by the handle TruthRxS on Facebook, Instagram, and I love LinkedIn. I'm going to be perfectly honest. A lot of people think it's too stuffy, but I find professionals doing amazing work and very willing to have open dialogues on LinkedIn. So I'm very active on LinkedIn at Errin Weisman, and it's spelled Weisman, Weisman, and I am a DO. Whoop, whoop. So check that out. And then my podcast, like she mentioned before, is Dr. Me First. You can find it anywhere and everywhere. You can listen also on my YouTube channel, because I think that's kind of a fun place too. I do a few videos and you can watch those and see me with my kids, and I like to do a lot of teaching. I miss that part of being in the clinic and having my residents and medical students, so I take that out on my audience.
Awesome, awesome. That is great. So check it. We are going to do that wrap up. And at this point, what we do is we talk about some filling in the blanks. So you're going to get to complete the 3 sentences that are a signature for this podcast. And the first one is, to me, fearless freedom means.
I have 3 of them. 1, stepping into a life without shame and guilt. 2, showing up in the world with a smile and my imperfections. And 3, living in such a way that when I reach my end, he tells me, well done, Errin.
Awesome. Very inspiring. I love it. All right. And then what if I am fearless, I will
change healthcare fundamentally.
Nice. And then last but not least, my battle cry is
#Together We Rise. I use that one
Awesome.
all the time. So that's
Awesome.
definitely my battle cry right now.
That is for sure truth, for sure. And we see this every day. I mean, we even see it like recently. We had a little support group where, we all helped each other and we're seeing good results as a consequence. So yeah, every little bit helps and we can definitely do it together. So you are so right. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule and hanging out with us. I know that the audience appreciate it. I appreciate it. And we'll definitely look forward to chatting with you again, hopefully.
Absolutely. And I always hold time every week for what I call colleague to colleague calls. Just like when you're in the ER and you got a call for like a urologic emergency, or you got a lady getting ready to spit out a baby. I think it's really important to have a colleague coach. So those are open, they're free, they're no selling. I'm not going to be sleazy with you. It's just an opportunity to be open and to talk. And then if it's something you want to continue, then we have the conversation about it later. But you might want to check out my colleague to colleague calls for those who just want to talk.
That sounds awesome. That's a great resource. You guys take advantage of that, for real. Okay, cool. Thank you for joining us today on this journey. Fear is all around us. It strives to stop us from achieving our greatness. We have the tools to be overcomers. By sharing our stories, supporting each other, and doing self-reflection, we can do this. If you found value in this conversation today, please be sure to subscribe to and share this podcast with your friends. By going to your favorite podcast platform, leaving a review and a 5-star rating, you will help to get the word out about it. And that is much appreciated. Thanks again for spending time with us. I appreciate your time and your attention. It is my hope that you will punch fear in the face today and that you will be strong, be brave, and unleash your greatness.